We got it to work.
Yeah.
It was a little bit.
So I was like, why is it not connecting? I was like,
Yeah,
oh no. So
I don't worry about these things because it's technology. It happens. Sometimes the internet might be down and it is not going to be perfect. But what is going to be perfect is the story that we're going to tell today and how we're able to do our storytelling, be able to educate others and to understand a little bit about who we are as immigrants and the process and the journey that it takes when we didn't have a choice as children to come into the United States, navigate through this journey and take responsibility and do what we need to do, which is break the cycle. Thank you for joining me today. I am excited and delighted because I want people also to know that previous to this meeting, we did have a conversation where we got to, feel each other's energy, talk about a few points that we wanted to make sure that we highlighted during this live. But it is very authentic. You don't know any of the questions that I'm asking. And so just have fun, share your story, and let's do it. You ready?
I'm ready. I did write out my little opening and my little closing because I was like, I don't want to mess that up because every time like I do something like this, I'm like, I kind of stumble my words at the end and the
No,
beginning.
there's no, I told you this before. I love doing this. I'm not a pro at it. I make a lot of mistakes, but this is what makes it really authentic to be able to just sit here and share because it's going to happen. So I want you to feel really comfortable and just talk to us. I want you to introduce yourself. I already said your name is Jasmine Garcia. So tell us, Jasmine, where are you from and what do you
I
do?
I am from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, and I am an artist. And my work celebrates Latina culture, women empowerment, and mental health because those are the things that have shaped me. I wasn't always confident in calling myself an artist. Like many of us, I struggle with imposter syndrome, burnout, the weight of expectation, especially as a mother and as an immigrant and someone that's trying to balance the passion with real life and responsibility. Art is my way of healing, connecting and making sense of my story. So thank you so much for being here, for listening, and allowing me to share my story.
That is freaking amazing. So let me tell a little bit how we connected. So I am in search of those people that are ready to tell their story because not everybody's ready. A lot of people, and me at one point we felt like if we spoke too much, we told too much, we would be judged. You get to a point where you know that the more that you talk about it, the more that people know what really happens to us as, at one point we were undocumented because I personally do not like to use the word illegal aliens. We're not aliens. Undocumented, yes, right? At some point. So I want people to know that I was in search of these stories and you and I just connected. We
Yeah.
connected. We started messaging each other on Instagram. And I said, hey, I would love for you to share because I am fascinated by your story. I am following what you're doing. You inspire me to continue to do this. This is something that I've always wanted to do. You know, when you're little and you dream about being the TV host or being on the radio, this is what I wanted to do. But I wanted to do always with the intention of people knowing our story and then figuring out all the long journey and process that we take to break those cycles and educate others. So you are from Las Vegas,
Yes.
right? And how long have you been living there?
I am located in Las Vegas. I've been here since 1997. I've been
Okay.
here for a while. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tell us about when was the first time that you came to the United States? How old were you?
I was 2 years old, actually. I was 2 years old. We started out in living in Los Angeles in 1994. We lived there for a while and then we moved over here to Las Vegas and we've been here ever since. And I remember that my father telling me when he came, because he came first, he came in 1994, but he experienced the LA riots. He experienced the earthquake that happened in California. He experienced a lot that first year, but he was like, no, it's still good. Like my mom's like, are we going? Are we staying? What are we doing? Because she was very straight with him, and she's like, you are not, sorry for my kids if you can
No,
hear them.
don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
She was like, she went straight out and she's like, I am not going to be a single mother here. Like, you're going to take me or you're going to come back. Like, which one? So my dad's like, okay, come. So then we came, we lived in LA for a while. And I don't know if you've seen, my kids see a show on TV called Casa Grande. It's just like all of a family living in one little apartment. And I all the time, I was like, ah, I love this show. This was me. This is my childhood. She's like, oh my God, this was you? I was like, yeah, it was like three families. We all lived in one little apartment all together
You
for
know,
a while.
that saying, donde caben dos, caben cuatro,
Yeah.
donde caben cuatro, caben seis, that is why, because
Yeah.
we didn't worry about that it was a family of five in one bed. We figured it
No,
out
we
to
worked
lay
it.
down in the opposite way, but we all were able to, and that's if we were lucky to have a bed, right? Because many times we're always sleeping on the floor. But so you come in here with your family at the age of 2, right? And your mom comes documented or undocumented?
We were all undocumented.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you go through life, right? At what age or when did you figure out, wait, is there such thing as like I don't have papers? Like what happened? When did that happen?
this is so like this is such an interesting question, and I've been asked this multiple times. I didn't really even realize it was an issue until like later on. But like my parents always were very open with me and were like, hey, you're from Mexico, like you're proud, be proud, you're from Mexico. And I was like, I'm proud. So they showed me that
Mm-hmm.
pride. They would my younger brother is 5 years younger than me, and they would tell him, both of you are Mexican Americans, okay?
Good.
Like you're were born here, but you're still Mexican American, and you were born over there, but you're living here, but you're still Mexican American. And I was like, okay, and I don't know, we had pride. So it was always very open of where I came from. But later on, when I became like a teenager, is when I really understood. When there was like college fairs at school, I was like, oh well, this day's boring. I'm not even gonna get my hopes up. Like I'm not even gonna attend. And I remember the teachers and like other friends that were like, what's going on? Like, why aren't you participating? And I was like, I'm not, like, I would brush it off. I'm not interested. Like, I don't know. Like, but it was like, I don't want to say an open secret, but kind of my friends knew.
Okay, so
And
I want
like,
you to stop right there, right? Because
yeah,
this is really important.
yes.
So when you're saying I'm brushing it off, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to bring that attention to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But how did you feel when you knew that there were people scouting or this is for college and you understand, I understand the pride because I hear you, sister. I see you. But how did you feel right at that moment when you knew that there was nothing you could do about it? What was that emotion?
It was hurt. I felt left out. Like, of course, like how como dijiste, is like I would brush it off because I didn't want to make it a big deal. But I I didn't. Now I see it that I didn't see that I could make it a big deal. Like I couldn't show emotion about it because like, ¿qué voy a ganar? Like, me voy a enojar, me voy a estar triste. All these emotions were true, but it was just one of those that, dang, like that sucks. Like I really like I'm an honor student. I was an honor student in high school and I'm like I'm an honor student. I do good grades. I deserve this, but like with all the situation, I couldn't. I remember one quick little story. It always remember. I remember this part is there was an event at school in high school where you would have to do the work and you would get like an extra sash or an extra thing. And so I was so proud and I did all the work. I did the essay. I did all of it, and then I had my paper where it allowed me to go into that event. So yo, I don't know what was going. I switched my notebooks and I forgot that paper, my permission slip at home. But I brought the work from school to school.
Mm-hmm.
So I told the lady, I was like, hey, I forgot my permission slip at home, but I brought the work. Here's all my work.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady's like, I can't let you in. And I'm like, what do you mean? And my friends, they went in and they got the sash, but because I didn't have that permission slip, I couldn't go in. Oh, that's when one of the moments where I was like, wow. And it was around the time when everything was starting, like with my immigration process, I broke down. Like I was just crying.
Because there was a connection, right? Of
Yeah.
working so hard,
Mm-hmm.
of going above and beyond for earning something. But it
Mm-hmm.
was that paper that was signifying something
Yeah.
else that yeah, it was so relatable as to you earned it, right? You did all
Mm-hmm.
the work, but you forgot it and you couldn't participate.
Oh, I was that day, I really, todo se salió. Like I let all the frustration out and the teacher, pobrecita, the teacher was like, I'm so sorry. Like she was like, me estaba like helping, but I was just like, I was over it. I was over the whole everything. And yeah, that was crazy.
I feel that when I was talking to you about our stories are very similar, right? But when I got here, I was already 9 years old,
Mm,
and I knew that I was undocumented. I knew I matured really, really young, so I knew that I was undocumented, and I had to be on the lookout. My thing
mm,
was always never be alone, and always be on the lookout for the green SUV. Because
ah,
if that green SUV, which was the Border Patrol,
yeah.
right? If that green SUV would come around, more than likely they would take you and I would never see you again. Kind of like the white SUV that would
The
like
white,
abduct you, right? Yes,
yeah.
this
It
one
was the
was
white
the
van for me.
for
It was
yeah.
it
For other kids, it was the white van. For
yeah.
us, was the green one. It was the Border Patrol, right? Or every time somebody would scream "La Migra," it was like the worst fear because I felt that how would I be able to get away from it? And then my parents and in my case, I'm the oldest one, right? So I felt like I had to protect everybody else. I completely understand you on the part of not having documentation to be able to participate. I was also an honor student. I always excelled in all my classes. And I think this is something really important to talk about or to highlight.
Yeah.
When we come from humble beginnings and from another country where we have to leave everything behind and we understand that we have to work really hard, most of the times we come here to work and do our best. We, most of the time, as a person that went through and as an educator, I can tell you that most of my kids that were super successful in the classroom, that listened, that did their work, were kids that were coming from another country because they knew that their parents have made a huge sacrifice to come into this country to be able to give them an education. So as I'm listening to you, right, this was so ingrained in me too. Mijita, you came here for an education. You didn't come here to play. You didn't come here to get in trouble. You didn't come here, to BS. You came here because we needed to get you an education. So there was no way that I wanted to get in trouble. We
Yeah.
I used to carry a dictionary to translate all my work from English to Spanish so that I could work in my native language. And then I would have to translate it back to English to be able to turn it in, because I wasn't going to be able to just turn it in Spanish while everybody else was. I had to do the double work, and that's okay.
And you had to learn.
I had to learn.
Nobody was
Yes.
you.
I didn't
That's what
have.
with my daughter. I was like, you guys are fortunate because like I'm here and I can be like, this is what you do. Mommy, I don't understand. And I was like, wow, like no one helped me.
When you're the eldest
Yeah.
one, you become the translator to your parents.
Yep.
You are the one that is in every medical doctor's appointment translating however you can. Every time you go to a garage sale that you have to make a deal, you have to do it. And I'm
Yep.
going to tell you, this is something really funny that when I think about it, I still laugh.
Yep.
I used to, we say pounds, right? In Spanish, we say libra, una libra, dos libras, ¿verdad? So I would always take the words that would like translate similar to the Spanish, right? And I would say, like when you say house, house, right? That's how I would remember to spell things out.
Yeah.
That's how I would do it. And so when I remember the one time we went to a garage sale and my parents were like, tell them, how many for the pound? And I was trying to translate and I could not think about libra was really pound in English. So I kept on saying libras. How much for the libras? And they were looking at me like, what the heck are you talking about, right?
Yeah.
I was probably 11 years old, 11 or 12, because we used to migrate to Wisconsin. And so when I think about that now, I laugh, right? But I remember I was so petrified that I had to translate for my parents at all the time. And then when I was trying to apply for college, that's when it was the rude awakening that I had gotten a full pay scholarship. And because my status was as undocumented, because my process was taking long. And this is the next question. How long did it take for you to be able to make progress in your citizenship, right, journey? For me, it took more than 28 years. When I was 18, I had to reapply by myself as an adult, because although my parents had already applied for me, at 18, I became an adult and I had to go in under a different section. And therefore, I lost my scholarship and I lost a lot of opportunities. But I want you to tell me on your side of the story, what happened when you turn 18, you're graduating, and there's a decision that you have to make.
Yeah. In the beginning. So like I said, my younger brother was born here in the United States. So my parents were able to process their residency through him because my brother had like I believe it was like a speech disability or something like that. And so they processed it through him and they got their residency like right away. I believe I was 15 when they got it.
Okay.
And then right when I was 15, they started my process. But my process, there was a little hiccup because, well, not a hiccup, but there was a little problem because I was getting close to 18. It's not, como dicen, do it the easy way. And it's not like you put the paper in, you process the work, and then you get it right away. No, it takes years.
Yeah.
So I was when they started the process, and then 16 came, 17, and then right at 17, they were like, oh, you're almost 18, and if you hit 18, you're done. Like we can't process this anymore. And so my lawyer was like, here's an option for you. You have to leave the country. If you leave the country now, still 17, we will still in the system consider you as a minor. And I was, whoa, like I was graduating. I was honor student. Todo estaba pasando. Like it all happened in less than a year. And I was like, okay, like todos los emotions. So my lawyer, I love my lawyer. She told me straight out, she's like, hey, this is your decision. Like at the end of the day, this is your decision. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but this is going to shape your future. Like you're going to leave, but you will come back. That's the expectation. And I was like, okay.
Did you believe that? Did you believe
I
that if you were to step outside, like, would you be able to come back?
that's she sold it to me. She told me, she's like, I'm gonna tell you straight, it's gonna take maybe a year.
Wow.
It might take 5 years. And I was like, oh, that it was a lot. I was like, what do I do? I handle this for 1 to 5 years, or I stay here and keep continuing like how I was living, graduate, have all these like celebrations y todo, pero once I graduate, ¿qué voy a hacer? Like, I need this. So I'm like, okay, all right, let's do it. And it was hard. I still remember the day that I dropped out of school. I went in and I signed and I dropped out of school. I remember doing a speech before in my English class about the whole situation, and all the teachers were kind of being like, what can we do to help? And let me help you. And I was like, you can't do anything. Like, it's done. Like, this is the process and the choice. And I dropped out. And then on March 11th, 2011, I went to Mexico again, to a country that I hadn't been since I was 2
That's
for the first time.
part right there. We can take a pause right here.
Yeah.
You come to your whole life. It's been
Yep.
in the United States. Culture. You're always proud of where you came from and proud of your roots, and you have your culture, right? But you also have you have two cultures, and this is all you know. And
Yeah.
then you're faced with a tough decision that you're gonna have to go back to be able to do things the right way. But you're going back into another country that you're proud of, but you were not raised there. So tell me
I didn't know
a
any.
little bit about that when you get there, and how did you make preparations for for your support system in Mexico?
Yes. I experienced culture shock right away. Like right when I landed and I went to the bathroom, the sinks were different. I was trying to how to work the sinks, and I was like, I remember looking next to me and seeing the girl, and she's like, why are you looking at me? And I was like, okay.
How
Like,
how were they different? How were they
so
different for you?
in the bathroom, in not all bathrooms, but in the bathroom, the sink tiene como una palita, and like you move it, and then that's when the water comes out. I was
Yes.
like, what is there a stick? Is this sink broken? Like, why is there a stick? I was so confused. That was my like, wow. And then right away, everybody travels in bus over there, like todos camión, and it was an adjustment. It was a big adjustment because I lived first 6 months with my paternal abuelita,
Okay.
and she lives in kind of, I can't say the word, like rural, urban, like a little like
Como un
jalado de
ranchito?
la
Como
ranchito,
un ranchito.
but not like, it's just a little colonia to itself.
Okay.
And so it was very excluded from everything else. So I was scared. Like, I was a little girl, tenía miedo. I was like, oh my God, okay, I'm just gonna stay here in my abuelita's house where I know I'm safe. And like, she would help, she was a babysitter, so she would like get kids, and like she would take care of them. So I would play with them and be with them, and I would remember they were so mean to me because I couldn't speak. No, sí hablo español, pero like unas palabras se me oye mi acento. So I remember them talking, but like, no puedes hablar en español. They're like, say rocks, di piedras. And I'm like, no, I can't. Like, I don't want to say that because I can't roll my R's. And it was a nice um, little time, but I was very depressed because I closed myself out. Like, I was like, nah, I can't go out. I can't do this. I can't do that. And until I moved to my tia, from my mom's side. And that was when I really, by force, my tia was like, you're not going to stay, no te vas a quedar aquí todo el día en tu cuarto. Come, I got to work, I got to move, you're going to help me.
Tías, right? Esas
Let's
tías.
go. And I was like, okay. And she sold like clothes and things from a catalog. So people would come to her house and like they would pick what they want, and then we would go to the warehouse and pick it up, and I would help her carry the bags of clothes. And I had so much fun because like she would after we were done, we would go eat to the little
What was the
corners
age
and stuff.
difference between you and your tia?
My tia, see, my mom has like 9 sisters and 2 brothers.
Okay.
So they're all like, pop, pop, pop. They're all close in age. So she was my mom. Like,
yeah.
She even looks like my mom. So it was I bonded with her a lot because era mi mamá. Es mi mamá.
Qué bonito
So,
que when you move over there, you have a support system, right? And that you also, first with your grandmother, and you had to process that, and then you move with your tia, and that's where you begin to blossom, right? And you begin to come out of your shell. And I think trying to figure things out as to understanding, right? What's gonna happen next. So how long did you stay with your tia?
Another 6 months.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed it because ¿cómo se dice? Like, Mexico accepted me right away when I got to Mexico. I no lo aceptaba. Like, I was like, I'm scared, no quiero. But once I opened my arms, it was so much. Mexico's love, Mexico's unity. Mexico's so beautiful. I remember I would ride the bus by myself. I finally got courage and I rode the bus and I would ride it all over town by myself because I knew if I would get lost, I would just ask somebody for help and they would be like, no te preocupes, mira, agarras este camión y da 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 da. And I was like, okay, I got it. Gracias. And I remember that the older ladies, they would help. They're like, ¿Si tienes dinero? ¿Si tienes dinero para tu camión? And I was like, no, sí tengo. And they're like, okay, que te vaya bien. I was like, okay. And it was a beautiful time. I got involved in, my tia lived right close to a plaza. So they had events, they had like church groups, they had everything. And I got involved with like the youth group and I made friends and I would hang out. And that's when I really was like, I got used to it. And then in January 2012, because remember, I was in the mind frame that I'm going to be here a year to 5 years. I was getting ready. I was applying to like tourist jobs because I could speak English. I can get a job here. But a lot of the places wanted your high school diploma. And I was like, oh, I don't have a high school diploma. So I couldn't get a job there. But I was looking and I was getting ready to be like to live there for a while. But then in January 2012 is when my dad, he got the mail and he was like, your appointment is set for February.
How did that feel? How did that feel?
It was like whew. Because I remember when I would hang out and be outside, I would see the airplanes pass. I still remember. I would get teary, like me dolía. I was like, I'm okay, but I was like, I want to be on that plane. I want to go home. And during this time, I was dating. Like, I was dating my husband. I was with my husband. And so we were doing the long distance.
Wow.
And it was Like I missed my home. I missed everything. So I was ready. I was I
Did
was
at
ready and
any, I know that you had a relationship, a romantic relationship with your now husband, and but at any given point after you opened up, right, and released and were able to receive what Mexico and your family were giving you, did you ever feel like I want to stay here, or did you know I'm going back?
I it was a kind of want to say 50-50.
Mhm.
Of course, I wanted to come back because my boyfriend's over here. I wanted to follow him. I was like, I was in a boyfriend now husband. So like yo lo quería seguir. Like I was like, my boyfriend's over there. I want to be over there. But like si no estaba él, like I don't know. Maybe I because I
So
was already
he played a big role in you coming back to the
yeah,
United States.
he did. He did play a big role with me to coming back. And then he's a sweetheart. I love him so much.
Well,
He's a sweetie.
he's a keeper.
He's a
He waited for you. He
yeah,
supported, while you were trying to enjoy your second culture
yeah,
and empowering yourself with all the culture and the flavors and the art and everything that you were getting while you were waiting for your appointment to
yeah.
come back. Yeah. Um, I was gonna ask you right now, you obviously you have your citizenship, right?
Yes.
And um your kids are US citizenships because they were um born and raised in the United States. After everything that you've gone through, if somebody's listening to us and is going through something very similar, what would you
Yeah.
tell them? What would you tell them to help them navigate through those tough times?
Yeah. It's a first I would say deep breaths because the journey that is ahead. I'm 33, turning 33 this year, and that happened to me 15, 16, 17. And todavía I feel it. This year is the first year where I'm like, okay, let's heal. Let's take a deep breath. Let's like todo ese miedo que because it's scary.
Mhm.
Because like it worked out by luck, by fortuna, it did work out, pero what if it didn't? Like that's always the question. What if it didn't?
And
And I
what
feel
if they didn't have the support that you had, right?
what if you the support? It's a lot. And what I would like to tell them is it's okay to be scared. It's okay. It's natural. Feel feel your emotions. Feel what you need to feel. Pero don't let that fear overpower you
I love that.
because once because eso era lo que me pasó. Like I let the fear like control my life.
Mhm.
And once I let go of that and I processed it, I embraced it. Like I'm like, okay.
Every situation is so different. I recently heard about, and I just forgot the name of the kid, but I recently heard about a little girl, I think she was 11 or 12 years old, who unalived herself
Yes.
because of the pressure in school of the kids saying that they were going to call ICE so that they could send her and her parents back, right?
Yeah.
As an adult now, as a former educator, I cannot even understand or begin to understand if I go back and think of me as my younger self, how would I have felt if people were telling me your parents are going to be taken away from you? I'm already having to grow and mature so fast, right?
Yes.
And now trying to explain explain or figure out at such a young age, what if my parents are no longer here to be with me?
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people, this is what they don't understand. I think if everyone that says you need to come the right way and that's it. I think we need to have be more open to conversation as to what is the right way to you.
Yeah.
If the right way to you is, being on the opposite side of the border and doing your paperwork and, to be able to come in with a visa or with, that takes a lot of years. And a lot of people don't have those years. They don't have the support. They might be running away from something horrible. And I mean, we
Yeah.
can give tons and tons of reasons why people come to the United States for a better life. And I think that a lot of people also what they fail to understand. And I say this because as a former educator, I used to ask my students, the ones that I knew they were undocumented and the ones that I knew they were not undocumented, I would used to ask them like, who was the first one that got here to the United States? And that was one of my homeworks, for them to ask where do they come from, where their grandparents come from, do
Yeah.
they know who their grandparents are, did they speak English?
Yeah.
And I don't think that a lot of them are open to that conversation because we just go through the day, and paying bills and sending the kids to school. And sometimes we don't talk about those things. And a lot of them, if they did go back and they would ask, they would realize that there was a generation, within their lineage, they might have come in here undocumented, but it was such a hush hush topic that they might not know.
They,
And there might be those people, and and then it's not, when you're talking about undocumented, we're not just talking about Mexico, Derek. We're talking about, from
oh,
China, we're talking about from Europe, we're talking about from Russia, we're talking about from Canada, we're talking about from everywhere.
oh,
But for some reason, it's always brown people like us, right? It's always us. And so I think that when we open this conversation and we talk about undocumented people or who came here, if we were to really dig back and say, you know what, I did not know, my parents didn't want to talk about it, and some parents didn't even allow their kids to speak Spanish, so that there was no trace of no accent and there was no trace of any questioning of where they came from. That's
mm-hmm.
what they used to do. So
That's
for
it.
me, is having these conversations with you, Jasmine, is opens up, that door of people to begin to question and not be so harsh on others and not be so judgmental, because I feel that ignorance is lack of education. You fear what you do not know. And we cannot be so fast to judge somebody because they came here undocumented and say, you need to come the right way. You have to do it the right way. And there's no, when we stand in such a way, we might end up shooting ourselves on the foot. Because if you really dig in there, you may find that maybe, just maybe, one of those generations of your abuelito came in here
Yeah.
undocumented. And
Yeah.
so we cannot forget where we come from. We cannot forget who we are as a community, and and continue to help one another by doing things like this, sharing our stories, which is really important, that you did it the right way. You had to go back. You had to re-enter the United States, but you took a risk that perhaps you would have to live a life in Mexico without your parents and without a future that you thought was already set up for you.
Yep.
How are you breaking the cycle when you had to go through this whole journey of immigration?
I know we were talking about breaking the cycle the other day, and I was like, I don't know. How am I breaking this cycle? Like, oh, pero it's I'm allowing myself to heal. Okay? I'm giving myself permission to heal todo lo que pasó. And I'm also using that to do what I love, to make art. I know we were talking about it. I graduated high school. I attended a little bit of college, pero no pude. It was expensive. I couldn't. So then I got married and I had my kids, and siempre sentí ese sentimiento like, damn, I didn't graduate. I didn't go to college. I really wanted to, pero it's okay because I found my place. And I know I don't have those like the graduation diplomas, pero tengo mis little, I hanged up and I felt pride. I have my awards that I got for my art.
And
And
let me just tell you that I don't know you personally, but if I had you in front of me, I would give you a huge, huge hug
yeah,
because I love what you're saying. As of now, you don't
yeah,
have your high school diploma, but you have so much more than a diploma right now. And that is your resilience, your determination,
yeah,
and you are exploiting your creativity. And everything that you have gone through, Jasmine, has built your character and who you are as of now. That's how you're breaking cycles. Your children
yes,
don't have to worry about that because you doing things the hard way,
yeah,
you have allowed them to have a better journey for them to reach their goals, and they will graduate. Or even if they don't, they don't have to go to college, whatever makes them happy. I see in your paintings, a lot of color, a lot of happiness. And I want you to tell me a little bit about that. How do you use your story to do the storytelling through your paintings? But before I forget, because I can jump from one place to another, tell
me
us
too.
about what happened. Tell us about what happened with your art being at the Mexican consulate.
Oh,
How
yes,
did that happen? Because that needs to be told. How did that happen?
thank you. So I have, ya tengo un año. I've been doing 1 year full, todo professionally, putting my work out there. And I have a friend, her name is Viri. Shout out Viri from Chingona Inc. And I love
I
her.
love that.
And
Chingona Inc.
Chingona Inc. Go check her out. She reached out and she sent me a DM and she was like, hey, this is perfect for you. Like, enter. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know the first thing about this. Like, how do I enter? And so I entered to a museum, and I entered here locally to the mayor's gallery museum, I believe, here in Las Vegas. And I got accepted. They accepted me to for the Mexican mythology, and I was like, oh my God, I got it. And it was it was wow. Like I learned a lot. Like I learned that you have to turn in todas muchas cosas. And then after that they told me, oh, we're gonna continue this because this is amazing. Like it was a whole I believe there was like 20 artists
Mm-hmm.
involved. And there were like we would like to move these artworks to El Consulado de Mexico here in
Mm-hmm.
Vegas. And I was like, really? Like, oh my God. So then they moved those ones to El Consulado de Mexico, and it's going to be there until June
That is
here in Las Vegas.
freaking amazing. That is freaking amazing. And to be able to tell this story to your kids, right?
Yeah.
To ever to talk about it. So I when I that's when I was looking at all the work that you were doing, all I could think of was like we have to collaborate. We have, and we talked about that. So there's gonna be something coming, a collaboration between Jasmine Garcia and I'm gonna say Elizabeth Mendez Roy, because now I'm
Yeah.
like, man, dang it, I should have kept my my main name, right?
And
Pero ya sabes.
the funny thing is, my maiden name is Colin, which a lot of people would say Colin because it's spelled
Okay.
Coln.
Uh-huh.
And growing up, I would always say, they would always say Yasmin Colin. And I'm like, no, it's Yasmin Colin. And I'm like, you know what? One day I'm going to get married and it's going to be the most Mexican, like Latino name in the world. And I got Garcia. And I was like, ah, okay.
Oye, el mío es Roy. El mío es Roy. So when I go somewhere, right, and it says Elizabeth Roy, I think they're expecting somebody else. And I walk in there, I think one of my first jobs to work for the school, they got my resume, and I walked in, and there was like 6 people at the table. And I walk in and I'm like, I'm Elizabeth Roy. And they all look at each other like, what? I think they thought I was white. And I'm like, hey, you get 2 for the price of 1, baby. I'm bilingual. Mira, yo sola. Yeah. So it's a process. It's a process of everything that we go through. Life hasn't been easy for you or I, but I think that's the beauty of it, taking the negative, the challenges, and turning them into how we can come up with something positive out of this, right?
Yes.
How can we help somebody else? What do we do when we see somebody in need, somebody at the store that doesn't speak English and they need a translator? How do we, instead what used to be like, oh, you have to translate again, now it becomes more like, I get to do this.
Yeah.
I know 2 languages, and I get to help my people, and I get to help anybody else that it might need translation from, also from English to Spanish, right? So I do have a couple of questions, and I was so into just your story and wanted it to be just to flow that, I wasn't asking. I think we kind of cover most of them. One of them was, what emotions did you go through when you realized the barriers in front of you? And you did say how hard it was going back to Mexico. And then when you were, coming back and leaving also what you were building, because you didn't know if it was going to be 1 year or it was going to be 5 years, and I did ask you what message to young undocumented individuals. You said, do not let fear, overpower you. I think fear, it's one of those things that we're so afraid of, like such a huge monster that is stopping us from going after our dreams or breaking through barriers or obstacles, right? And then when we go through them, most of the times we go, that's what was stopping me. Esa chingadera es lo que yo tenía miedo.
Like, ay.
Yeah, like you're saying, I had to like do all these paperwork to get into the consulate, right? To have an opportunity. Imagine had you said, no, tengo miedo que no me vayan, they're not gonna accept it. O tengo miedo que I'm gonna do it wrong.
Yeah. And I asked all the questions. Ask the questions. Do the research. I would stay on here and I would be like, okay, ¿qué voy a necesitar? What is a CV? What is that? Okay, let me look that up. What is that? Es un resume de arte. I was like, okay, I can do that. I have a little bit experience. And then I figured that, and they're like, you need to write an artist statement. I'm like, chingados is an artist statement. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, I'll figure
it out. You figure it out. So let me ask you, what is next for you? What is next for you? Where are you going with your art? Is there something bigger coming up? Is there something where anybody that is watching and will see it on the replay, how can we support you? What is something coming up for you that you're excited about?
Something coming up for me. Well, right now I'm working on new pieces. I'm excited. I have what I'm doing every year is I'm gonna bring out 6 pieces, like limited edition, only a few. My favorite number is 15. I was born on the 15th. And so all of my artwork there's only 15 available. And then right now what I'm working on is a new collection, which is this collection was very different because lo saqué más de sentimiento. Like algo pasó en mi vida where todo, like everything came back and I was like, you know what? Let me put this on paper.
Mhm.
So I sketched it out, all of it quick, y ya los tengo. I just have to put them all together. So I'm very excited for that. That's something that I'm working on. And then I just want to put my voice out there. Like
You are.
I'm gonna,
You've been doing podcasts, girl.
yeah,
You've been putting your voice. I mean, it's just gonna get better and better. I think when you realize the power within your voice and how much you can truly heal others, not just through your storytelling, but through your art, it's gonna give you more motivation to keep on going.
it's empowering, really, because what I want to what I want to be now, like I want to be that big sister. Like
Mhm.
it's like they say, like, because I never had a big sister. I'm the eldest, but I want to be that big sister and be like, hey, you got this. Like, you don't believe in yourself? Like, you don't believe in yourself. Come on. Like, you can do this. And I want to be that motivation where it's okay to not have everything figured out. Like, it's okay. None of us do. None of us have it figured out, but
None of
little
us,
by
and even the people that look the most perfect and like they got all their shit together, they don't. They have
little,
doubts. They deal with the fear. They
no,
deal with the fuck ups. They learn as they go, but they don't show that. They don't show that because sometimes whatever the reason is, right? We're
yeah,
gonna show it here because we want people to know
yes,
that nothing is perfect, that we came from nothing, that we didn't let fear stop us,
mhm,
and we're going to continue to create. As you as a creative in art, me as a creative in design and clothing, we bring all those experiences out. And that's, when we create a collection, it's a collection of something that is so close to what we've gone through. It's not just the design. We put, it's art. You
the
do it
state,
on canvas, I do it on clothing. And that's what it is, a form of
yeah,
advocacy and inspiration for others. So people that are watching you right now, where can they find you? I will tag you on the live, but you tell them where can they find you? How can they be able to support you and buy your prints? Because they're limited edition, people. If you don't get it, ni aunque le paguen más.
there.
Bueno, maybe we can work on that, right?
Well, I am on Instagram, Sagrario Arte Studio. I'm also on TikTok, same thing, Sagrario Arte Studio. And I do have my website. It's on my link in my bio, but it's also sagrarioartestudio.com.
Why Sagrario?
Sagrario, oh, I have it tattooed on me here too.
Mm-hmm.
Sagrario, it's my mom's name.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my mom's name. And I want it to be authentic. And like, I remember a lot of my friends where they're like, well, we don't even know how to spell Sagrario. We don't even know how to say Sagrario. And I'm like, it's okay.
You'll learn it.
You can say it. Like, I know you can say bigger words. You can say Sagrario. I want it to feel authentic and I want it to feel it's home. And that's me.
That's
And that's my mom.
awesome. Well, your mom made an amazing job of bringing such an amazing woman that you're gonna be changing lives because you're already changing the lives of your children, and that's how you're breaking the cycle. I want to thank you today for giving me an opportunity to share with other people who you are. I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to tell part of my story along with yours. To me, I would fail as an interviewer because I always talk about, oh yeah, remember this
No,
with me too.
no, that's
But
me.
this is my show and I get to do it however I want to, right? No, I want to really thank you for giving me an opportunity to connect with you. And I always say there's no coincidencias, son diosidencias, and there's a reason why we connected. We do have a lot in common, and I really am looking forward to doing something together so that we can help others. And I am not getting it off the table that maybe next time that I'm in Vegas,
Yeah.
we can have cafecito, and we can get, and we might be able to do a live
Oh,
next to each other, because
um,
I will continue to support you and follow your journey in any way that I can. So thank you so much, Jasmine Garcia,
thank you.
for
And
giving me time. Huh?
thank you for listening and allowing me to be vulnerable about my journey. So whether you're an artist, a dreamer, or somebody still figuring things out, I hope you walk away knowing that your voice is powerful, your presence is meaningful, and your journey, no matter how uncertain, deserves to be seen and heard. And here's a quote. I love this quote I found online by Armando Vélez. Our fight to stay in this country isn't just about work. We are more than our labor. We are families, communities, culture, history. We belong not just because we contribute to the economy, because we are human. The conversation around immigration needs to shift. Our worth isn't measured by how much we produce, but by who we are.
Thank you so much for doing that. You know what? That was an amazing closing.
Yay.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for watching. Make sure you
Thank you, guys.
follow her. I will link her social media on the live, and give us your comments. What did you think about this live? How did it change you? And let's open the door to those conversations. We're not going anywhere. We're educating ourselves. We are the majority, and we came here to work. We're breaking cycles. Mexicans aren't going anywhere.